everyone, it's TidesChanging here, and welcome to another Sims 4 speed build. Today I'm building another house for one of my Let's Plays, and this time it's for my Get Together Let's Play, because one of the Sims in that series just had a child, and I figured that was for the best that I moved her out of the house that she was in because she was living with two roommates, and moved her into a house that would give her a little bit more space to raise her daughter, because the one that she was living in before is very cramped, and there just really would not have been enough space for her daughter there. I built this house in the Old Town part of Windenburg, so I of course went with the Tudor style because anything else will look kind of weird in here. Plus it's always fun to build Tudor homes, but I chose to build it here because I haven't played a Sim who's lived in this part of town before. I thought it'd be kind of fun to have these two be closer to the action. So I'm really looking forward to playing in this house in part 26, which should be up this weekend. I did start out having a 45,000 simoleon budget for the house, but as usual when it comes to homes that are built on a budget, I don't stick with it. I usually end up going 10 or 20,000 simoleons over that, and this time I ended up going 10,000 simoleons over that. But the thing is, I had used money cheats to give her that amount of money, so I figured what's another 10,000 more simoleons? Like, I'm already cheating, so, you know, what's wrong with giving her a little bit more? And for those of you who don't watch the Let's Play why she had the 45,000 simoleon amount, is that she had an affair with a married man. That married man was Bjorn Bergson, and then of course she got pregnant. That's how her daughter came to be. And one of you who watches that Let's Play suggested that I should make it so that when she told Bjorn that she was pregnant with this child, that he gave her some amount of money to bribe her to stay quiet about the affair that they had, not tell anyone that her daughter or her child was his child. And I thought that that could be an interesting way to go with things, so I just chose 45,000 simoleons as the amount that he gave her. But then, of course, like I said, that didn't end up being quite enough for what I wanted to do with the house. Also, the Sims in the Let's Play have been living in the same house since the series started, which is just a 3-Sim starter home. So it's also a good way to push things forward and be able to at least get one of the Sims into a nicer house, because in The Sims 4, unless you're really focusing on making money, and you give your Sims a hobby, they don't make money very quickly, so it's kind of hard to have your Sims get rich. So it was just nice to have that little push and make it so that I could give the Sim a nicer home than I could have without money cheats. And I know I could use money cheats to give my Sims money for a new home whenever I want, but I prefer not to use money cheats in my Let's Plays unless I feel like it really fits in with whatever story I have going on, like this whole situation here. The house did end up costing a little under 55,000 simoleons, and I feel like you get quite a bit for that amount of money because it does have 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, there's also a pretty large living area downstairs, and it is a 2-floor home, plus there's a decent amount of landscaping, so the house does look pretty nice from the outside. But currently I'm just getting all the windows and doors and such on the house because I've actually got the basic structure of it done. And I really like how it turned out. It actually took me a while to get to this house because I had quite a few false starts where I just started building the house and then I didn't like what I had, so I just scrapped it. I think I attempted building this house 4 or 5 times. Like, it just, like, I came home from work last Friday and I told myself, okay, I'm going to get the whole house built in one evening, because I actually took off a couple hours early on Friday because I'd worked a 10-hour day earlier in the week, so I just worked 6 hours on Friday, and since I had that extra 2 hours, I told myself I was going to get the whole house done in one evening and maybe even take the video for the end part of it. That I was going to have time to do all of that in one evening, but it did not work out as I'd hoped it would, because I just spent 2 or 3 hours starting on the house and then deciding, no, I don't like that, and then just starting over again. But eventually, towards the end of that night, I did get to this one, and I didn't quite finish the house all in one night, but I got it almost done in one night, so I didn't do too bad. But it was sort of frustrating that the whole process of building the house didn't go as smoothly as I'd hoped it would. And that always happens to me. Like, most of the time when I build, I think I'm just going to start building and get it right the first time, but that very rarely happens. That actually did happen with the art gallery that I uploaded a speed build of a little over a week ago. That one I got right the first time, but this house just did not work out like that. And I think part of it was because I didn't want this house to look too simple because I was working with not a ton of money, so I didn't want it to end up looking simple because of that, but then of course I couldn't make it too complex or too large because then I would just end up with a house that was hardly furnished, so it was kind of tricky finding that sweet spot between being too simple and being too complex, but I think I got it right in the end. Currently I'm working on the landscaping and adding in some trees. And with this build I try to use some different trees than what I normally do because I almost always use either oak trees or hawthorn trees in my builds. So I decided it would be a good idea to branch out and try using some other trees that I don't normally use. So I just used that pine type. I think the pine tree came with outdoor retreat, and then I used, I think the other one was called a mesquite tree. Not that it's really important what kinds of trees they are, but in case you're wondering, that was the kind of tree that I used. And now I'm just getting the plants out in front of the house, and I used some more of the plants that came with romantic garden stuff. Just as I really do like them. They come in a bunch of nice colors, and I also really like how they have different color options with them. Because that is always nice because you can just get a little bit more variety in your garden that way. So I really wish that more of the plants that came with the game had different color options. But that's about it for the landscaping out in the front of the house. I went with sort of a red color scheme at first with the plants, but I did end up changing some of the colors of them because I felt like it was a little bit too much red, like there should be some other colors mixed in. I'm also getting some ivy in the front of the building since I figured this house would be a good, it'd be a good house to use some ivy on. Now moving on to the back of the house, and there wasn't a lot of space to put anything back here because the house was built on a 20 by 20 lot. But the good thing about that is that I didn't have to spend as much money on plants to make the house look like it was as well landscaped. So that was one way in which I saved a little bit of money. But right now I'm working on putting in a paved area that will have a table and some chairs on it. And there's also a few garden boxes to the right of that area. I did think about putting in one of the monkey bars there, but the monkey bars were a lot more expensive than 2 garden boxes were, so I just decided to go with the cheaper option. But I may eventually swap out those garden boxes for some monkey bars, especially because I don't really see the sim who's gonna live here being that into gardening. And I feel like her daughter would like having some monkey bars there a lot more, especially since I did give her the rambunctious scamp aspiration. Her daughter is still a baby in the overview at the end of the video, but I have already aged her up because I did give all the Sims in the Let's Play makeovers, and I'll have a video of that up in a few days in case any of you are interested in seeing that. But now I'm just working on adding the plants in back here, so I just did the same sort of thing I did at the front of the house and use the same plants. I'm also adding in some ivy, although I realized that when I had in that one spot that was going into the kitchen, or where the kitchen is going to be a little bit, so I had to unfortunately get rid of that piece, and it bugged me a little bit that I just had that gap in the ivy, but it's not really that huge of a deal, so I just left it like that. We're also getting the tables and chairs in, and now is when I was trying to figure out what to do with that area that was left over, so that is where I ended up sticking in the garden boxes. And that's pretty much it for the outside of the house, so once I get that dirt in, I'm finally moving on to the interior. Although I did get rid of the ivy that was in the front of the house, because at the time I thought I was a little bit too busy, but now looking back on it, I feel like I probably should have kept that. Oh well, that always happens to me whenever I build, where I'll just get rid of something and I look over the footage later on and I think to myself, why did I get rid of that? It looked great, it was perfectly fine, I didn't need to do that, but that's just something that always happens whenever I build. Anyway, I'm starting on furnishing the living room now, and I at first was going with very dated looking wallpaper because this house does have an older style on the exterior, so I felt like it would look kind of weird if everything was completely modern on the interior. So I was trying to have sort of a traditional look with the wallpaper, but I ended up changing that because I just realized that that was way too dated and it would have made any more modern furniture pieces that I had look kind of strange. So I thought it'd be for the best that I change the wallpaper to this, because while I didn't want to have some more modern wallpaper on the walls, I still didn't want to have traditional furniture everywhere in the house. I wanted to have some modern furniture pieces like that end table coffee table that I used. I just feel like that kind of furniture wouldn't have looked as well with the wallpaper that I had originally. I put a little toy on the coffee table too because her daughter's currently a baby, as I said, but she's gonna be a child at some point. So I thought it'd be nice to leave some toys here and there throughout the house for kind of a realistic touch. And it took me a little while to figure out what to do with that one wall there because I wanted to have paintings, but a lot of the paintings that would have worked well with the decor in this house were kind of expensive. So I ended up putting a table and a mirror and some decorations on the table, which probably was a little bit more expensive than any of the paintings I would have used. But I thought it looked pretty nice, so that's just what I ended up doing right there. That's pretty much it for the living room, so shortly I'm going to be heading over to the kitchen, just swapping out some of the things I had on that table. Kept going back and forth between those 2 lamps. I also wasn't sure what to do with this wall, so I just moved on from it and went over to furnishing the kitchen. I thought that this area that went out the back of the house would be a perfect spot to put the kitchen in. The kitchen does have kind of, well, it doesn't really have that weird of a layout, but I wasn't really sure how to lay out the kitchen at first when I was just starting with it. It also didn't help that by the time I got to the kitchen, it was almost midnight and I was really tired, but I did eventually figure it out. I had those tall cabinets, but that didn't really look that good, so I do end up taking those out and just going with the smaller ones up top. And it annoys me how the sink is partially under the window, but I didn't really want to mess around with overlapping counters and all that, so I just left it like that. I mean, it doesn't look too bad, so I think it's fine. That's pretty much a basic layout of the kitchen. So now I'm just getting some decorations on the counter, and I of course couldn't put too much in because I didn't want to spend too much money on useless clutter. But I also wanted to have some clutter because I feel like it just looks kind of boring and empty if you don't have any in the kitchen. And now I'm going through and figuring out what kind of wallpaper I want to use. Rather than having something that looks like backsplash, I just ended up using a different paint color. And there's also a little bit of stone mixed in as well, and here I'm just getting in some island counters as you go into the kitchen. And since there were a lot of neutral colors in this area, I was trying to add in a few pops of colors here and there with some of the items, like that rug that's in the living room and also the bright green bar stools that I used. Something that ended up annoying me a little bit about this whole living area is that there ended up being this large empty space in the middle of it because I had the dining area off to the side where that window is, right here, and then near the stairs was an office area, but then there was just nothing in the middle. And the thought I had to fix that was that I could have the dining table right behind the bar stools and have something else in that area, but I didn't know what to do there, and then I also was trying not to spend a ton of money, so I just figured it's best to keep the dining area off to the side. And the only thing that really came to mind for me to fill that space with was to just put like a circular table out there, but that would make no sense. Like, who would just stick a table right in the middle of a living area? So I decided it was for the best to just leave the area empty, which is probably fine. Plus, realistically thinking, if you had a table just in the middle of a space you used to get from one area to the other, you'd probably walk into it and probably end up knocked over. If I did something like that in my place, it would definitely get knocked over because I have two fairly hyper cats who like to run around and jump on top of things and knock things off of tables. And they actually have knocked over end tables before, because there was a couple mornings in a row a few weeks ago that I got woken up by a loud crashing sound because one of the cats had knocked over the end table that was next to the bed. And I think what happened was they opened up the drawer and then sat inside of it, and then their weight just caused it to fall forward. But I really was not happy because that happened at like 6 in the morning both times, and my alarm usually goes off at about 6:30, so it just kind of ruined that last half hour of sleep, so I definitely was not pleased with them for that. And we also got this fairly tall armoire recently, and they can get to the top of it from the bed, so they like to jump from the bed to the top of it, and it's kind of high up, so it makes a loud thud when they do that, so I usually get woken up by that in the morning. But the problem is I can't kick the cats out of the room because they'll scratch at the carpet in front of the door, so I can't win either way. Like, I have to either deal with them scratching up the carpet or them jumping on things and knocking things over. I tried putting tape in front of the door once to stop them from scratching it, but that didn't work because they like the crinkle sound of the tape, so that made them mess with it even more. So I'm not really sure what to do. I think they have some stuff you can spray that has a scent the cats don't like, so I might have to look into that and try something like that. And one of them also likes opening up the dresser drawers and pulling clothes out of it, so that's always fun to just find clothes all over the floor. And what else do they do? They also like to occasionally move things around the house. Like, for example, last year we grew peppers in our garden, like hot peppers, and we put them on the counter, and then like the next day I just found peppers in random places in the house. Like, I went upstairs and there was just a pepper at the top of the stairs, and then I went to the basement to work out and there was just this random pepper in the basement. And one of them also brought a plastic spoon into the room where my computer is because I was just sitting there working on videos, and then they just walked in with the spoon and started playing with it. And one time I found a random hot sauce packet in the basement, so yeah, they're very interesting cats. I definitely get into quite a bit of trouble, because growing up, I always had cats who were pretty sedentary, like they just kind of laid around, didn't really do much, but these guys are just always running around and doing ridiculous things, but it is pretty entertaining, so it's all good. Anyway, I'm on to furnishing the second floor now. I turned the area at the top of the stairs into a kid's play area, just because the bedroom that ends up being her daughter's isn't very big, so I thought it'd be a good idea to just put some toys and other things out into that area that she could play with. And right now I'm working on what will be Amanda's bedroom. For the other two bedrooms, I made one into a nursery, and that's where the baby currently is, and then I made the other room into a child's room so that when she ages up, well, she's actually aged up now, but so that would already be there for when I go in to play the game, and I just wasn't sure what to do with the other bedrooms, so I decided nursery would be a good idea. And if you don't need a nursery, that can be pretty easily converted into a regular bedroom. A few seconds ago was when I realized that I need a little bit more money, and I put in the money cheat, and I don't know if you saw it, but the little thing popped up saying that she accomplished a milestone. She does have the, what was it called, fabulously wealthy aspiration. And I didn't mean to cheat through most of her aspiration, but I kind of did because of giving her the bribe money. So now she's on the last of the milestones. I feel kind of bad about that, but I mean, she's earning money one way or another, so I guess it's fine. But anyway, for this room, I'm going with a red theme because I really am trying to use other colors in my build than blue and green. Because I do get comments saying that I use those colors too much and I need to use other ones. And the thing is that those are my favorite colors, so when I'm trying to pick out what I think looks good, of course I'm going to gravitate towards them. But I do understand that I need to have more variety in the colors that I use. So that is something that I've really been trying to work on. That's about it for that bathroom, or not bedroom, not bathroom. So now I'm on to the bathrooms. And I did use a dated wallpaper that I was going to use downstairs up here, because I do like the wallpaper, and I figured it could look nice in the bathrooms. And I just did both bathrooms in kind of the same way, like use the same furniture in both of them, just to make the process of furnishing them a little bit quicker. I also really liked how nicely this bathroom fit into this roof area. That's about it for that one, so now I'm gonna get over to the second bathroom, which, as I mentioned, is very similar looking to the first one. But since it is supposed to be the child's bedroom, I decided to add in some pops of yellow to add a little bit more color to it, because it did have pretty dark wallpaper in there. So we just have the yellow hand towel and then yellow bath towel as well. And I'm moving on to the nursery. And I kept things pretty simple when furnishing this room, because the room is pretty small, and also in the Let's Play, I'm just going to be deleting everything that's in here because I don't really need this to be nursery anymore. So I'm not sure what I'm going to use it for in the Let's Play. I'll probably just keep it empty for a little while, and then eventually, I don't know, maybe she'll have another kid or something like that, and then this will be that kid's bedroom. I'm not sure, but eventually I'll find some use for this bedroom. I just wanted to make this house a 3-bedroom house, so there was a little bit of room for growth in it. Here I'm just trying to arrange all the stuff on top of the dresser in a different manner than where it usually snaps to. It took me a little bit to get that figured out. Yeah, I wasn't exactly sure what to put in the nursery. I just stuck a chair and a bookshelf in there, but I mean, the babies can't do much, so I don't know, it's kind of pointless to put other furniture in nurseries. But I usually do that. I usually just do that anyway. That's pretty much all the furniture that I put into the nursery. I thought about putting a plant here, but that plant just really didn't look quite right in here. And I did do some last minute swapping out of the furniture that I put over here. So I added a different chair and a different bookshelf as well that I thought would fit in a little bit better. And that's it for the nursery. So now I'm on to what will be her daughter, her daughter's name is Desdemona, by the way, and this is going to be her bedroom. I did put in that kid's bed at first, but I always use the kid's bed, so I just decided to use that bed instead. And I'm really hoping that that kid's stuff pack that's supposed to come out this summer will have some more kids' beds in it. Unfortunately, they didn't show a new kids' bed in that sneak peek video they put up of Dine Out in that stuff pack a little while ago. But I'm hoping there is a new bed, but that for whatever reason they just didn't show it, because it'd be really disappointing if the stuff pack didn't come with any new beds. But I'm still looking forward to seeing what's included in it, and I know more kids items is something that a lot of people, myself including, have been wanting to see in this game. So I'm really glad they're actually making a whole stuff pack about that. I'm also wondering what the new premium item with it'll be, like maybe it'll be some kind of cool toy for kids. I'm definitely looking forward to this stuff pack a bit more than I usually look forward to stuff packs. In that video, you could see it will look like a monster under the bed, so I don't know if that's a new premium kind of a thing or just something new that they're adding into it. This house is almost done being built, so I just wanted to mention as usual that if you want to download this house, there's a link in the description. There's also some information on how to find it in the gallery in-game. That's all I have to say, so I hope you enjoyed the rest of this video.